Good News Ministries exists really for one primary purpose, and that is to give the gospel to people that are basically forgotten about in our society. Homeless people, poor people, they tend to slip through the cracks. They need a place to go, but they need more than a place to go. They need a place that's going to tell them that there is a Savior who died for them, that paid the price for their sin, and by trusting in Him as their Savior, they no longer have to be bound by those sins that caused all this destruction and devastation in their past. They now can live a life free from that. And we want to teach them how to do that. That's the story of Good News Ministries. That's why we exist. At the base of our operation is the fact that we have a shelter, we have beds, we have food, we have 3 meals a day, we have health care and clothing. So a guy can come in anytime, any day, no problem. We've got a place for them. Once they're here, now we can begin to build a foundation for a real life. That foundation typically begins with chapel services and Bible studies and counseling sessions. We're going to introduce everyone that we come across to the gospel of Christ. At the same time, we're going to help them to build other things in that foundation that they need. We give them productive work to do. And so the guys are working, they have opportunities for job training, they have opportunities to get into different kinds of job readiness programs that we make available. And because we offer these things, the guys can stay busy, they can be productive. All the while, we're having an evening Bible study, a noon Bible study, a counseling session, a special program on Thursday nights, Reformers Unanimous, where we help the guys to deal with life-dominating sins like addictions specifically. All of that begins to work together to mold and shape a foundation upon which a life can now be built. We try to make it so you've got stability. You can stay here as long as you need to stay here, whether that's a couple of months, a couple of days, a couple of years, a couple of decades. We do that so that we continue to have opportunity to witness to people and share the gospel with them. We never know when somebody is going to make that decision to trust Christ. We would much rather they be here in a stable environment, doing productive work, where they have that opportunity every single day, than to have them out living in an abandoned building, sleeping on the streets or under a bridge. Much better that they be right here with us, because every day they get good things from us. Adrian is a great example of how Good News Ministries helps a man. He had lost all of his family connections, lost contact with his daughter, ended up turning to drugs, and found himself homeless and on the streets. He literally lived on the streets for several months. When he came to us, he was broken. He was in a very poor physical condition, and as he was helped slowly, daily by Good News Mission, he began to see that love that was being offered to him. Ultimately, he responded to the gospel. He trusted Christ as his Savior. He got help from his addictions through our Reformers Unanimous program, meeting every Thursday night and following Christ with his whole heart. He's now working here at the mission, and he's got a great hope for the future. Going forward, Adrian hopes to even open his own car detailing shop someday.
I never met my father, my biological father. And as I was growing up, my auntie and my uncle, I call them mother and father. I had a good childhood life. I mean, I was a spoiled brat. I mean, I had things that kids my age didn't have. It's like as I got older, I got into the street life, and I went back to Detroit, and I got into selling drugs. It was all about me. I ended up getting incarcerated. I've been in prison 15 years, not straight, but in and out, all due to selling drugs. So, you know, when I got out, I went to Gary. I love working on cars, detailing cars, so I should detail. So I worked at this place called Steel Transport, and I was detailing semis. They sent me to school to work on semis. I was doing good and everything, and I lost that job. And I come back to Indiana. I got a few cousins that stay here. I thought they could help me out, but they didn't. It led me to Good News Mission. And when I first got here, I didn't want to be here. You know, I ain't think that, I thought myself, I don't need to be here. So, you know, while I was being here, I was still using. And I took a job one day, and it came back positive, and they put me on contract. And I went to RU. I didn't like RU at first. And the more I got involved with it, I started liking it, and that's when I accepted God as my Savior. It seemed like ever since I accepted God, things have changed for me. It's for the good, and I thank Good News because it wouldn't been for Brother Morris, Gary, Michael, and most of the employees here to help me. Since I've been here, me and my daughter, one day, I called her, and I explained to her, because I didn't want to leave her in the dark. You know, I waited a couple of days, and she came back to me. And ever since then, me and her been, you know, together. I mean, you know, every morning, you know, she called me or I text her, good morning, this and that. And she tell me, you know, you keep doing what you're doing. When I was selling drugs, I made the first $1,000. And I got greedy and I kept on. But nobody ever told me the repercussion that you get going to prison. Everything that I had accumulated when I was doing it, I lost it. I lost everything. You know, I lost my pride. I thought I had everything. I thought I was on top of the world. I thought I was hurting just myself, but I was hurting more than just myself. I was hurting others. And today, I look back at it, that was just a waste of time I did. It took me to come here to see that. I could have been anywhere else, but God led me here because He knew what's gonna happen. I owe all the gratitude and I give all the grace to God. I know how it is to be homeless, and when I came here, Good News didn't turn me down at all. All thing they did was give me hope. I thank Good News for giving me a roof over my head, food in my stomach, a whole lot of knowledge. When I first came in here, I weighed 160 something. I weighed myself the other day, I'm at 192. So I'm very grateful of Good News, you know, because without Good News, there's no telling where I'd be at.
Every guy that comes to us has reached the end of any kind of love relationship that they might have had. Regardless of their past, when they come to Good News Mission, we're gonna love them. They need a relationship with somebody else. They need to see, hey, somebody else does love me. Now, obviously, we want to point them to the Savior and show them, yes, we love you, but somebody more than that loves you. Jesus Christ loves you, and here's what He did for you. And build that relationship. That's our ultimate desire, is to have that relationship built. But it starts with us loving them, because that's the primary thing that every human needs, and that is to know that somebody else actually cares about them.